Thanks, Seth.
You're welcome. Yeah. So yeah, let's jump into the code. And this is REPL. If you've never used REPL, it's just kind of, or not kind of, it is a place to play around with code. This is a Ruby one. So we see we have Ruby 2.5.0 here. And this console is pretty much equivalent to an IRB session-ish. So to get our code to run here as we're writing it, we have to require it, like we would in IRB, or copy and paste it. So this is just a little script to require each of these three files that we're going to be working with, so that I don't have to copy and paste all the code every single time. So that's all that this is doing. It's not going to actually be part of what we're looking at tonight. I just want to be able to use it. And I have syntax incorrect somewhere. X H2. Where is it wrong? At the end. Well, I'll figure that out. Let's get started. So let's start with a belongs to relationship. So a belongs to relationship allows one object to quote unquote own another object. So the steps to creating a belongs to relationship are relatively straightforward. So let's start with actually our song. So we'll have class song. And let's actually set up all these classes just so they're valid if we want to do anything with them. Okay, song. Okay, so we need to set an accessor for what the song belongs to. So attribute accessor for artist. And I'm not gonna waste too much time on this each. I'll double check it here in a second, but I just wanted to get this going. So now we have our song. So now we can do, song.new, and we have it, and we're all good. And we're also going to need our artist in here. So let's make sure we have access to both of those. So let's create a new song, s equals song.new. And then we can say s.artist. We can say artist.new. And if we look at our song, so I'll just type S and then return, we see we have this song object, and we're getting, the think location in memory there. Cool, yeah, I'll try that. It'll make life easier if we can run this. That's going to throw it off. Because X should be this, which is a string. I require the string. Oh, this might all need to be a string like this. Maybe that's what you're trying to say.
Actually, I think there is another problem. So it looks like you're starting a do end block without the end. I think it's either do end or you use the brackets, but not both.
That's what it is. Yeah, I was one-lining it without making it one line. There. Cool. That'll make life much quicker so that we can get this code in here without copying and pasting it. So yeah, back to our song. So now our song has an artist, and if we say s.artist, we get back this artist object, and we'll give them names and titles here in a minute, so that they're easier to figure out, other than this number letter combination, which I believe is a place in it's being held in memory. That's some sort of hex code. But we see that, a song now has this artist property. We can say that, the song belongs to this artist. Right now, it might not make sense to have, this artist object. We might think that s.artist equals something like Adele. Makes more sense because when we look at our song, we see that we have this artist property and it comes back as a string Adele. However, as we give the artist more properties, and it may have name, like we think of all the things that we'd see in Wikipedia on the side, the little sidebar, name, years active, birth date, genre, top albums, how much money they've made, all these different things. Having those objects associated instead of just hard-coded strings really is going to help make more sense. So with just this simple example, it might seem that this is more useful to us than having two objects with relationships. However, as things get more complex, it's definitely better to have the object relationships. So let me switch this back. Let's create a new artist. So we have this new artist object set to this variable A. And I'm going to set the artist equal to that object. So if we look at our song now, our artist is equal to our artist A that we just created here. So now a question. Well, before I get to my question, are there any questions about setting up the belongs to relationship that we just did? Okay. And while we're going tonight, any questions at any time, just shout them out, throw them in the chat or say them and I'll address them either way. If you put it in the chat, I might not see it immediately just because I have multiple monitors and chat's not on the one that we're both seeing on our screens primarily. So it just takes me a second to see it. But I promise I'll get to it. So now that we have, this song with an artist property, will that artist object know about its song? So if I do a.song, when I hit enter or return, or, what do we expect to see here? Will we see the song object with its, will we see, well, what do we think? What are we going to guess we'll see here? And you can just guess or say, I don't know. Those are all valid responses as well. Perfect.
I don't know.
Okay, well, we'll see. Okay, we have undefined method song for artist. So what's going on here is we've set up the belongs to, but we haven't set up the has many. So it's not automatically going to happen for us. So we have to set up the has many relationship for the artist to know about the song. So let's go ahead and do that now. And yeah. So this artist class is valid. It exists. We can create new ones of it. However, no method song. So we have to do that. So to set up a has many relationship, our first step is going to be a accessor, just like we did for song. However, we're going to use a plural this time because an artist will have many songs. So we want the method to be songs instead of song. And then after that, we're going to set up an initialize. Initialize. Oh, I spell these things wrong. I always put my end immediately because I forget about it. And we'll initialize a property of songs, which will be an empty array. And I'm going to add another piece to this just so that we can stop looking at these numbers So I'm going to set one up on song as well. Initialize song title. Title equals title, just to make it a little bit easier. And let's give the artist a name. So we'll be able to, create songs and artists that have names and titles. So that should make things a little bit easier for us. Oh, one more thing. Since we have this extra property now, we need to set an accessor for that property as well on both. Okay, so now we can actually set that outside of the initializer if we want. So let's see if this will work this time so that we don't have to copy and paste that. No, okay, it tried. So just paste it. It'll be fine. I keep forgetting to save my little script so that I don't have to figure it out every time. I think I'd remember it by now. Okay, so now we have, let's create a new artist or a song equals song.new. And it'll have a title. We'll stick with Adele stuff right now. Song. Okay. Name. Oh, it's trying to run this. Let's just get rid of this then. Okay. Artist, song. Okay. Song equals song.new. Oh, I spelled this wrong. That's why. Initialize. That's the issue. Like I said, I spell that wrong all the time. Okay. There we go. There's our song. And let's say artist equals artist.new Adele. Okay. I got a new line in there, but it's all right. And then we have, since artist has this property of songs and it's an array, we can add a song to it by using any of our array methods. So we can say artist.songs, and we can use our shovel for our song. And we see we get returned back the song inside of brackets stating it's in the array. And if we look at our artist, we see our songs has this single song in it now inside of the brackets. And if we do artist.songs, we get back that array as well. So if instead of doing this line right here, artist.songs and shoveling in song, what would happen if I did artist.songs equals song, and then after that, I try to add another song. So I'm gonna make another song and then try and add it, with a shovel or a push. What do we think will happen? And I'll get to that point and say, when I hit enter right now, what's going to happen? Song.new. So we're going to say artist. We can look at the artist. Artist.songs. Shovel song 2. What's our guess as to what is going to happen here when we hit return?
Error message because it's no longer in array.
Sorry, it's hard for me to hear you. Error. Okay. Anybody else have thoughts?
I'm gonna guess that I admittedly haven't followed along with this as much as I should have, but I'm gonna guess it'll add the song object to the artist.songs array.
Okay. Anybody else have thoughts? Okay, well, let's see. So we get an error with an undefined method shovel for the song object. So what has happened is, because we did artist.songs equals song, we actually changed that array. We looked before, we had these brackets, and then afterwards, we no longer have that bracket. We just have the song object. So we actually changed the type.
Seth, if you're trying to say something, I can't hear you. Or maybe it's my internet connection, sorry.
You can hear me. Yeah, I was gonna say, throw something in the chat.
I can hear you.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I guess it's something on your side. Sorry about that. But we are recording this, which is a pro plus. So yeah, so this shovel method is not going to be valid for the object because we've overwritten the array with an object. It's no longer an array. That songs variable, that at songs variable is now an object. So a two-part question, why is this bad? And part two, how can we fix this? Or any idea on how we can fix this, what we can do to prevent this from happening? Excuse me. Oh, no problem, Steven. It happens. I've had my Zoom like go out completely in the middle of a study group, and it happens. I'm glad you're back and you can hear. So yeah, why is this bad?
Because the user can mess with our code.
Yeah. And also in the chat, because you can lose your data by accidentally reassigning the value. Yeah, so both things are true. You know, if somebody's using or interacting with our code that isn't us, and they might do something and, you know, they're messing up things. If our code expects it to always be an array, then it's changed from not being an array, then our code's probably going to break in other places, not just here. If the array had multiple values, then yes, we lose data because now we have one object instead of multiple objects. So yeah, both good points. Any idea what we can do to prevent this from happening in our artist class? What change or changes might we make? Awesome. This is like, that's both things that I'm looking for. So we got makes the songs method into a reader method only. So that would mean let's change this from an accessor into just a reader. And then the second side of it, which I think kind of completes, which isn't required, that does answer the question. Making it a reader would completely disallow using equals. And then the second side is write your own writer. So to create our own custom attribute writer, we can do something like add song, and pass in a song object. And then with that, we can do at songs song. And the reason we want to do this second part here is because this is going to allow us more flexibility in the end. If we want to do more than just add the song object, if we want to take the title and capitalize it, if we want to truncate things, if we want to, depending on where you're on the curriculum, you've seen Slugify, you know, with song titles and such. So we could do those types of things here in the process of adding the song. This will allow us more flexibility in the end. It also make it easier when we look at, when we have different parts of code. So, you know, if we're doing, we have to add a song to the artist from a genre. When we see, you know, artist.add song, we know exactly what's going on. It's very descriptive and helps us, you know, keep track of what's happening. So let's go through this. Clear this out. Here. Load these real quick. This really doesn't take that long. It just puts more text in there. So yeah, s equals song.new. Oh. Hello, a equals artist.new. Del a.add song. S is our song object. If we try and do a.songs equals our song object, undefined method songs equals, because we turned it into a reader, so that equals no longer exists. And yeah, cool. So is this reciprocal now? Does the song know about its artist? So when we do s.artist, will we get back this new artist object we just created? What do we think? Yes, no, I don't know. No with a question mark. Perfectly good answer. Anybody else? Yes, no, maybe, not sure. Cool. Yeah, that's why we're here, to learn and to hopefully take these question marks and not sures and I don't knows and answer them. So let's find out. Okay, so we get back nil. So we didn't get an error, but we didn't get the artist either. So what's going on here is the artist method is valid for a song. You know, we have an artist here and an accessor. So we're not going to throw an explicit error that, you know, undefined method like we have here. But there isn't an artist, there hasn't been anything assigned to that yet. So, you know, if we look at the song, there just isn't anything there for it to read. So it returns nil. So this is going to lead us directly into writing some code that'll make the relationship reciprocal. So when we do one side, automatically do the other side. So if we set the artist on a song, so, you know, if we do s.artist equals, we want the artist to also know about that song. Or if we do artist.add song, we want the song to also know about the artist. So it's really important that when one half of the relationship is made, the other part is automatically added as well. So let's do that. Yeah, let's go to the artist. And in our add song, we will just extend this and we'll say song.artist equals self. And we'll walk through this in just a second. And then we'll need a custom attribute writer over here. I guess this is a method. This isn't a custom attribute writer. This is just a method. Sorry, I called it that before and it's not. So we can change this. Oh. Let's say attribute reader. Artist. And then def artist equals. And we'll say at artist equals artist. So this is what our attribute accessor is giving us, this reader and writer. Or it gives us a reader and writer, and this is the exact writer that it would give us. We're going to extend that, say artist.add song, and use that method self. So when we do song.artist equals, we're going to set the artist property of that song object to the artist that we're passing into it. And then we're going to call add song with self. And self is going to be the current instance, current object that of the song that we are calling .artist on. So in this case, in our examples, it would be S. So self would be equal to S. And then we go to artist and we have our add song and we're passing in that object. So we add that object to the songs array and then we call song.artist. So we're going to add the artist to the song, or we're going to set the song's artist equal to self, which is going to be the current instance of the artist object that we're acting on. So in our examples, it would be A. So what do we think is going to happen with this? I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to create an artist, create a song, and add it. So wouldn't that cause an infinite loop? Oh, I need to give it a name. S equals song.new. Let's find out. Will it cause an infinite loop? A.add song. And yes, it does. So this is our infinite loop. It goes on. And luckily, it doesn't crash your computer because we're in REPL and it just kills it after however long that was. So yes, we create an infinite loop because we add one side, then we add the other side, then we go back and add the other side and back and forth forever. So let's add some checks. Yeah, don't do that in IRB because it'll just crash. Like it'll freeze. You can't exit it. It just dies. So yeah, I've run many an infinite loop and they're not fun, but they happen. So it's very clear that, you know, something's wrong at least. Sometimes you write code and it's like, you don't even know it's really wrong until something really weird happens and it's much more difficult to figure out. So let's go ahead and add some checks to only make it reciprocal if it's needed. And I'm gonna make this a little bit wider. So we'll say if song.artist not equals self. And people have different syntaxes that they like. Some people really like using the if statement. Some people really don't like using like negation like this. They rather use positive, I guess, thought processes. So you could say like, unless song artist equals self type of thing. But that's really personal preference. And let's do song on the other side. A song if. It's like stuff like this. Artist.songs.include self. Some people would prefer this. Some people would say unless. Either way, unless is one of those keywords that isn't in many languages. So I think some people just don't like using it because they're just not used to using it. But I think this is better. I like thinking about like how I'd say it in English. So, add the song to the artist unless it's in there, instead of add the song to the artist if that song is not already known by the artist. I don't know. It just seems more verbose to me. We could say unless here. Oh, let's leave it with if. So those are two different examples. So now, when we do this, I don't know why we're getting errors, but everything's working fine. Okay, s equals song.new. A equals artist.new. A.add song. Okay, and we say a.songs. We have our song array. S.artist. We get our artist. Sweet. So it's automatically being reciprocal. It's still, if we try and do song.artist equals, we get an error because we're trying to set things equal and then call methods on a string, and that's not working. So it guards against a few different things. Cool. Okay, any questions about the has many relationships? I know I've moved a little quickly, but I wanted to make sure that we had time for the has many through because that was specifically asked about, and that's next. Okay, let's jump to has many through now. So the song class might have other relationships. It could also belong to a genre or a person who bought the song, or a label, or so many other things that it could quote unquote belong to. Because of this, one object can actually have indirect relationships with other objects through a quote unquote middleman. So for example, and we're going to code this, an artist has many songs, and if a song also belongs to a genre, the artist class is able to access information about the genres through songs and has an indirect relationship with the genre class. So we'll see that we can call, artist.songs and get a song, and then call .genre, and we'll be able to get the genre information without artist having any code inside of it referencing genre at all. So let's set up genre. We already have this much. This is going to look very similar because we're setting up a belongs to and has many between genre and songs. Yeah, no problem. And let me make sure to share this code too before I forget, because this you'll be able to reference as well. We need to initialize songs. And we'll give it a name too. Just why not? Song's name. Yeah, we won't. That's fine. Song dot genre self if song dot genre is not equal to self. Okay, and now song is going to have reader for genre. It's going to have custom attribute writer. Almost exactly the same. Let me see if I can do this. Sweet, it worked. So the genre equals genre. Yeah.
Sorry, Darren, how are you able to do that? Highlight those all at once.
Yeah, that was a keyboard shortcut.
Yeah, how did you do that?
So it'll depend on the IDE that you use, that the keyboard shortcuts are. But I guess in REPL, it's what, Command or Control D will select the next instance of that exact string that you're highlighting. So like you see how all this is blue, like highlighted light blue. As I'm doing Command D, it's selecting the next one, next one, next one, next one, and eventually it goes back to the top and selects the top one. And then that's a multi-line cursor that you can change them all at once. Yeah. So I think it's different in Atom.
That's
but
in
learn,
REPL, but you can't do that. You don't do that in Learn. In our
you can do it in Atom. I don't remember what the keyboard shortcut is. Atom multi
in our
select.
IDE, we can do that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So the Learn IDE is built on top of Atom. So everything that Atom has, Learn will have. Command D, yeah. So, or Command Shift L. So it looks like, or Command U. I don't know, but it's in there somewhere. So you can look through the Atom documentation and look for. There might be a key map in there somewhere, and that will give you all the keyboard shortcuts. I know Visual Studio Code has a key map that you can print. It's like a one-page PDF. I know some other IDEs have that as well. So I just haven't used Atom a ton after I got out of using the Learn IDE. Just one of those things. But yeah, has many through. So sweet, we've gotten it set up. Let's get the code into a session. I guess that doesn't take that long to do. I was trying to save, I probably spent more time trying to figure out that little script than it took me to actually just copy and paste everything the entire time. Artist.new, Adele. Just gonna create one artist with 2 songs. 2 songs and 2 genres. What else? 2 equals song, genre. We could say pop. I know it's not country, but let's just do this from the songs. So we'll say s.artist equals a, 2.artist equals a, Then we could say s.genre equals G, s2.genre equals G2. Okay. So if we look at our artist, we have a whole bunch of information. And this is coming from the fact that when we see our artist has songs, and then we have this array that starts, and our song has a title, and the song has an artist object as part of that song. So we're seeing that as well. Then we have a genre, we have the genre object that has a name, and then that genre also has a songs array, which has that song in it. So we're seeing some extra information that is more than we probably need, but our associations are there. And then we finally get to the end of that, I believe is here. And then we start our next song object, the title goodbye, and that ends, and we have the end of our songs array. So our artist has no code that says genre anywhere. Yet if we did something like a.songs, and since songs is an array, let's just grab the first one, dot genre, dot name, because we get pop. So you can get the genre information starting from the artist without having any code associated, because this has an association through the song. So the song is acting as the quote unquote middleman here. If we were to look at, the other song, we get country. So we could also do the same coming from the genre side. We could say G dot songs. We'll say the first one dot artist dot name. G dot songs. Let me just make sure we're doing this right. So we get a song dot artist object dot. Do we change something here? Oh, we don't have a reader at all set up for name. So that's where our issue is coming from. This needs to be here. I'm not going to copy and paste it all, but that's why we're getting our error. Undefined method, because there was no method to get the name. But we do see that we get our artist object. So the genre can have access to the artist as well. Yeah. We're coming up towards the end. Any questions about what we've done? What was that over there? So yeah, single source of truth. Without looking at how it was mentioned, I'm guessing that that's meaning, the fact that every object contains the information that it needs, but it's not duplicating it. So a song knows its artist because it has an artist object is associated with. It doesn't have the artist's name. And then the artist also has the artist's name, where there's multiple places where we can find the information. The information is nicely walled off and separated by our objects that we have. Nice. Medium is a wealth of information. I love it. I'm reading articles on there all the time. I think I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 7 articles open in my other tabs right now waiting to be read. They're not all on Medium, but some of them are. So thanks for that, Stephen.
You're welcome. It definitely kind of gets more into that. I think the idea is that the single source of truth, like you're saying, is basically the idea is to make sure that all of the information you need is in one part or one object and one object only, or something like that.
Yeah, and then if you change it, you know that it's not you're not going to have two places you need to change something. You're going to change it in one place, and then because it's being referenced to other places, everything will sort of, update, quote unquote, on its side, or on its own, because it's getting the new information from the object. Yeah, the single responsibility principle, single source of truth, is, I'd say, the similar idea. Yeah. Or I'd say it's the same thing. Oh, this is a Flatiron student too, with Flatiron School. Any other questions? Cool. Well, if there's no other questions, thank you so much for coming and spending some time. As I said at the beginning, I will get this recording up into the video application. Let me stop recording now.